Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices, secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. The pictures of airplanes flying into buildings, fires burning, huge structures collapsing, have filled us with disbelief, terrible sadness, and a quiet, unyielding anger.
I can hear you, the rest of the world hears you, and the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
Well, Pam, you wanted me to keep a journal, so here it is. Let me first say that I love you and miss you. You are always on my mind, but right now my soldiers are on my mind more. They are my strength that keeps me going. They are my wards that will get me through this war. I cannot and will not put myself before them because they are depending on me to get them through this alive. And they have taken on the responsibility of taking care of me. On March 21st, 2003, we got the word to pull out and make the trip into Iraq. Spirits are high, soldiers are anxious. Our adventure began in the dark of the night. The convoy moved towards a position that allowed us to cross into Iraq. No enemy were there to be impressed by the sheer length of our convoy, but they would soon find out our strength. This was the beginning of our journey, and we started it still tired from the day's work. Not far from Iraq, we had to cross a minefield that was set up to stop our advance. An advance team cleared us a path. We approached and then stopped. Stopping in a minefield can be very unnerving. We sat there for some time, just waiting for the vehicle in front of us to move forward. I would later find out 2 of my soldiers in the middle of the convoy had fallen asleep at the wheel during the initial stop. A sergeant in the next truck back had to exit his vehicle to see what was going on. His surprise was to find 2 sleeping soldiers with the convoy ahead leaving us behind. Suddenly, the truck in front of us lurched forward and we were off again. Awake now, we moved to catch up to the convoy and drive deeper into Iraq. For 60 hours we drive before we got to a real break. Drivers were swapped out, but we were all getting tired. It is not easy to sleep in a military vehicle, but we pushed on. We stopped at Objective Rams for the night. This area was not the best place. Just prior to entering the area, helicopters destroyed 3 enemy trucks, which carried machine guns at least. I saw the trucks, thankfully not the bodies. We pulled in and started doing maintenance on the broken vehicles in our convoy. Not long after arriving, an explosion went off. I yelled to my soldiers to get their gear on and get into the vehicles. I wasn't sure if it was an attack or what. After I gave the guys instructions, I put my gear on. I went to the command track to find out what was going on. I was told an American unit found a weapons cache and blew it up. Later I found out we took some mortar fire at the edge of the perimeter. The next day, we were trying to finish up on some maintenance issues and prepare to move out. The word comes down to be prepared to move out in 30 minutes. 5 minutes later, we had 5 minutes to get out of there. We still had to put a vehicle back together and prepare it to be towed. Over the radio crackled the words, "Enemy within 300 meters of your location." We stopped what we were doing and took up fighting positions. We prepared to fight. All of the soldiers did what they were trained to do. My soldiers made me proud. We sat and waited for the attack to happen. But thankfully, it never came. It was not the enemy. It was a family moving across the desert on foot. We left about an hour later, moving ever closer to Baghdad. The mission continued. We moved to Camp Dogwood just short of Baghdad, where we stayed for several months. From here, we launched missions to the border with Syria. Later, we would end up north of Baghdad for our last few months in country. We had arrived in Kuwait mid-February 2003 and left mid-December of the same year. 10 months of desert sand and over 1,000 miles traveled. I returned with my team and the many memories of a war so far away.